Hello and welcome to the Seattle Sports Union podcast. I am Richard the Ram Michelson, and I am joined by two of my best buds here, Brian, the Soul Man Solak. How you doing, Brian?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. And our fabulous leader, the man about town, the man who always has something going on, Abraham DeWeese. How you doing?
Woo-hoo. I'm here. I'm happy. It's baseball playoffs. I remember that. I'm not so old that I've forgotten 25 years ago what it's like to be in the division series.
Well, there we go. There we go. We are going to talk some Major League Baseball, some stickball, as it were. So, to get things started, just give me some thoughts about how you're feeling about the Mariners. I know that one of you has been very down on the dumps about the Mariners the whole season. So, yeah, what are your thoughts, guys?
Down on the dumps. I don't think down on the dumps is the right way to put it. And I'm very justified in being angry at this team. But something happened during the trade deadline that I insisted and emphatically refused to believe would manifest in reality. They traded for some bats, and oh my gosh, after 10 years, they finally decided that the fans were right in thinking that maybe you need to improve your team halfway through the season. And they went and got Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor's been the catalyst to get this whole thing going. Eugenio Suarez adds stability and leadership to this team. And that's what we needed. And yes, we had to give up potentially some guys that might do great, but potential doesn't mean anything until it actually becomes something. So
yes, that's true.
Thank God they finally learned their lesson.
Yes, and thank God. Let's hope we don't have another Jason Varitek situation on our hands as well.
I don't think so. I'm excited. I've watched all summer long that group text that we all have. I refuse to join just because of there's a certain person's negativity on there all the time about the Mariners. But
hey, I'm right here. You don't have to talk about me in the third person.
You know who I'm talking about, but I'll leave that person nameless. But the vibe is incredible in the state. I mean, I work in the tow business during the week. I had people coming in to pick up their cars. They were wearing Mariners shirts, and we were talking, about the game and the series, and everybody's excited. I mean, feels like we have a chance to go make it far this year. I mean, the clubhouse, Dan Wilson has done. He's made mistakes, but he's done a hell of a job keeping that clubhouse in check. Like Gabe said, we made some good trades at the deadline, and not only, I mean, maybe Suarez hasn't really hit much, but he's excellent in the clubhouse. And then Josh Naylor is just amazing. How can you not love our Seattle Mariners right now? I mean, going into tonight's game, I mean, this is awesome.
I'd love to hear the passion there, Brian. Thanks so much for sharing that. You get to talk to people in a I guess obviously a professional setting, but a more casual professional setting where you can talk maybe a little bit more about their life, in a low, a low conflict arena.
Absolutely.
Abe, what are you thinking? How are you feeling?
What am I thinking and how am I feeling?
Yeah, about the Mariners, about tonight's game, about what's to come.
I'm thinking that Detroit has decided to punt tonight's game.
Okay.
So they're going to put up a all bullpen staff, and I think what they are deciding is they're just going to take the split on the road, because tomorrow Tariq Skubal will come and hand us our backsides most likely, and it's just fascinating and somewhat embarrassing that Detroit's going to come here with just a bullpen staff and not have at least a starter go. Maybe Soulman can enlighten me why that's the case.
I honestly don't know why they're doing that, but I mean, if our bats don't show up to play tonight, then they're going to look like gods for, going to the bullpen. But they can't assume that Skubal, I know he's the best pitcher in baseball, at least in the American League, is going to beat us. I mean, we beat him twice during the regular season. Why can't we beat him a third time? Why can't, tomorrow we win 4-3? I mean, we have a great chance, in my opinion, tomorrow night against Skubal. So we'll see what happens. Tonight's game, obviously got to love our chances, but until, the first pitch, bullpen game might work. I mean, it's worked for other organizations in the playoffs before, not naming LA Dodgers.
Hey, you're not going to name them? Okay. Thank God you didn't name them.
I was trying to think of the nickname we kept saying, but I forgot.
So
the morons
let me
from the
play
South,
a little bit devil's advocate. Guys, let me jump in here. Why is pulling in a bullpen staff throwing the game in your mind?
I question why you'd want to burn out some arms when you might need them later this week. I don't know why they don't have in the playoffs. You just need 3 starters, don't you? Don't you have
3.5, I think,
three
is
and a
usually
half?
how it
Okay, so
works
where's their
out.
half? Where's their half starter? I mean, I
Maybe
don't know.
this is their half starter.
Could be. Could be.
I mean, we got a half starter, but maybe full starter. Bryce Miller will probably go in game 4. So, I mean, I'm liking our chances there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like whenever somebody throws out except for the Tampa Bay Rays, whatever they want to call their team now, nobody's really made this work. You did cite the Dodgers last year, and it did kind of work, but that's with an offense that's just extraterrestrial.
Well, true. But don't forget the Tigers manager, AJ Hinch, he's a cheater, so he may find a way to make it work.
He have the trash cans,
Perhaps.
trash can Hinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I mean, like, why if you have a good bullpen, right, and your starters are burned out, like they just can't go, you don't think that you have a good chance of winning, why is it so bad to not throw 3 or 4 of your relief pitchers 2 innings, at the start of the game and see where you're at?
I didn't say it was bad. I said it was embarrassing not to have a third starter.
But why does that matter?
And-
Why is being embarrassed or not matter?
Hold up.
Winning is
hold
what
up.
matters.
Hold up. And I explained this a little bit earlier. I said
Sure.
they're punting the game, and they're basically going to take a 1-1 record, which is all you really want, by the way, when you're the road team in baseball. Split on the road and take it at home. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're saving their better starters for later. That's not a terrible thing, but I still find it weird that they don't have a 4th starter or that half starter that you're talking about.
Brian, do you agree with this? Splitting on the road is the thing to try to do in a baseball playoff game?
No. I mean, it all comes down to win or go home, and they might be going to the right philosophy I don't know how many pitchers they got in their bullpen alone, including their starting staff, but AJ Hinch, I know I mentioned he's a cheater, but they may know what they're doing. Just these guys are out there to throw 20, 30 pitches. If they have to pitch for, every game, they will. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just coming down. I mean, win or go home. So it may not ruin their bullpen. We'll see what happens. But you have a good point, Abe. We'll see.
Well, if it's win or go home, you start Tariq Skubal tonight.
That's true too. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need 4 days rest, but nowadays it's so stupid.
Here's the thing. I'm going to disagree a little bit on your trying to split things and trying to plan when you're going to win in baseball specifically. In hockey, sure, home ice. Basketball, sure, home court. Football, home field. But baseball is different. Baseball, like the home and away winning percentages aren't that different when it's all is said and done. Trying to plan to win at home I think is a fool's errand. I think you try to win when you can, beat the other pitching staff or beat the other, batting order. And you just don't know when you're going to have a good game or a bad game. There's so much variability over the course of a season. And obviously that's magnified in the playoffs. Think about all the not crappy, but inferior teams that have won in the playoffs and gone deep and beaten far superior teams.
So I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'll tell you one guy who will. Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson disagrees with you, Richard Michelson.
Does
he? Yes,
okay,
he is. Because Castillo is not very good on the road. Luis Castillo is going to start game 2. They did that on purpose.
Okay.
George Kirby, very, very similar thing. He's going to start tonight. And it's because it's not because he's our ace. It's not because Logan Gilbert's not ready. They're basically going to say, Castillo does amazing at home. Make sure he plays at home. And we're going to do it tomorrow night. Kirby's been a little bit shaky. Soul Man knows more about Kirby than I do. But Logan Gilbert's the best that we have since Wu was injured. And they're going to go with that. What do you think, Soul Man?
Let's talk about Wu here.
Oh, sorry. I was hoping Soul Man could
okay.
analyze what I just said there.
No, I agree about Kirby. He's been a little shaky. I don't know if it's because of the injury to start the year, and things have been off, but he hasn't been the same George Kirby of the past. And honestly, I was quite shocked to see him starting game one, but I get the reasons why at home.
Is there,
It's kind of scary.
I think that one of our friends, Matt Page, has mentioned that like the squeezing of the strike zone this year has really affected Kirby.
It's really has, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there from what you have seen so far of the playoffs, has that tightened strike zone continued throughout Major League Baseball, or have the umpires loosened things up to give the pitchers a little bit more wiggle room?
You could go to, if you're aware of the Cubs series against San Diego, that last game, the strike zone, pardon my language, Abe, I know you get on me on this, but it was shit. And there was a lot of memes. I mean, they showed the umpires walking off the field and San Diego players were just getting in their face. And then today I saw a funny meme. They showed that again, but then they had, Chicago pitchers over there giving love cards and chocolate and flowers to the umpires. Anyways, long story short, the calls have got worse and worse, and I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Which way have they gotten worse, and who do you think that benefits going into tonight's game?
They've shrunk the strike zone in that particular game. So if you're looking at a George Kirby who has been struggling to get his sinker back into pre-injury form, that sinker is constantly missing low, where in the past it kind of catches the bottom of that strike zone. And not to say that he's a one-trick pony, but I mean, that's a big part of his game.
So tell the viewers, like when Kirby's on his game, you said a sinker. By a sinker, are you meaning a two-seam fastball that sinks, or do you mean a more of a breaking ball type pitch?
I'm going to go over to Soulman on that one.
It's more I would go to more of a two-seam fastball, from my opinion. I mean,
but it looks like a sinker.
Yeah, correct. I mean, he's always been that way. I mean, that's why he's been so effective. And when he was coming up with the Aqua Sox, made his way through the system, and he's been such a great pitcher for us. I mean, the guy knows how to pitch. He knows how to. He has a history of not walking people because he knows how to throw strikes. This year has been different, like you said, because of tightening the strike zone, and it's ridiculous.
So is this something where maybe we could hope that he just throws his two-seamer maybe a tiny bit higher to induce hitters to hit it, but still hit some ground balls that our defense can pick up and get some easy outs with?
I hope so. I mean, the last month of the season, I mean, his last 3 or 4 starts, he was freaking dominant. And from what you just said, I think that's one adjustment that he did. Hopefully, he can carry that into tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping he can channel his inner Bill Swift. For those old Mariners fans like myself, Bill Swift had an incredible sinker, and he was always like money to get those ground ball double plays. So hopefully we can see some of that tonight. I guess the next question, Wu is out. It looks like he's, MajorLeagueBaseball.com is reporting that he's left off the roster. So what does that mean? How does that affect the Mariners? I mean, obviously he's been ace-ish this year. He had a 2.9 ERA and was 15-7. So how does this affect the Mariners, and how does it affect Detroit?
So this is this is your ace. Great thing about the Mariners is we have 2 aces. We have Logan Gilbert and we have Brian Wu. The problem is guys like George Kirby and Bryce Miller, who could be like a number 2 on any other team, they're going to be elevated to have to perform in years that they're coming off an injury. So what losing Wu does is it's going to force Bryce Miller out there in a season where he's just been so up and down. And in this event tonight, it's going to force George Kirby to open this series. It loses continuity. Right now, this is not the order that the Mariners lineup is supposed to go. And pitchers love a routine, and we don't have routine.
Do you think that Dan Wilson, being a former catcher, might be able to massage that and manage that, given all of his experience with those great Mariner pitching staffs from back in the day and having to deal with stuff like this?
Let's have the catcher answer that one.
Obviously, Yes, it will help. I mean, throughout baseball over the last 20 years, there's been a lot of catchers put into the position of management, and I'd say 75% of them have done a great job. And Wilson knows how to work with these pitching staff. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be an issue with. I mean, obviously losing Wu hurt. It sucks, but and everybody, like Abe said, that all these pitchers have their routine, but a team like the Tigers, I think it's not going to affect us, and if it comes down to if we go 5 games in this series, then there's going to be problems going into the next series with, setting up our pitching stuff, whether Wu comes back or not. So we'll see what happens. But Wilson's proven that he's an effective manager with this team, and he's kept his pitching staff in line, and they've done a great job this entire season. I know they've had their ups and downs, but Wilson makes a difference. I think we talked about it the other night. Abraham brought up in one of our podcasts how Wilson has made mistakes, and how Abe mentioned that at first it seemed like a hire just to get the fans back in the seats. But in his last year plus, he's put fire in this team, and the team. I mean, there's leadership on this team, and everybody knows their role, and it's really damn exciting.
Okay, great. Is there any matchup from either team in the lineups that you like? A particular hitter versus the other pitching staff that you're thinking is going to be pivotal, or if this happens, then watch out, either side.
Oh, there's a lot of no-name young kids on the Tigers that I honestly haven't really watched all season until obviously we knew we were going to play them, and so I tried to read up on them. I mean, Riley Green, he's an up-and-comer guy, but he's had success against the Mariners, but AJ Hinch doesn't know how to manage him. I mean, he pinch hits for him all the time.
He's
Who's that guy that
10 for 16 and has 4 homers in 6 games against the Mariners. I mean, that's awesome. Is that like significant, or is that just like he got lucky for 6 games?
It can be significant, but it also can be lucky. So time will tell. But that's just one player. But they all have all these other guys who can, I guess, hit and get on base, but they're not really home run hitters. But I mean, Javi Baez, he's been around baseball, and he's had his up and downs. But I think he's a heck of came up as a shortstop, but they have him playing center field. But that could be one player that might stand out in the series.
Yeah, it's fascinating because they have a lot of guys who don't hit for a jillion home runs. I think you mentioned Riley Green, but they have a lot of players who they're not hindrances, and they don't really have that too many problems with them. Like Spencer Torkelson, just a solid guy. Gleyber Torres, solid guy. Zach McKinstry, solid guy. I mean, like when you don't have weaknesses at all these positions, and they're just positive positive bats. You mentioned Javier Baez, like Parker Meadows. I mean, these are all guys who, they're not on doing 80 home runs, but none of them are really dragging their team down.
Yep.
And the Mariners, throughout the season, the whole reason we had to go get Naylor and Suarez is first base was a hole. It was a sucking, gaping hole. Right field was a sucking, gaping hole. Third base was rookie. Second base is still a rookie. So as great as his big dumper's been, he's been having to make up for offense in positions where you just were slapping in rookies and guys who just weren't very good and no longer on the team.
All right. Well, good. Let's move on to a little bit about the bullpens. How deep are these bullpens, and is there anyone that you really look forward to seeing? You think that they're going to be awesome, or anyone that you really fear from either side?
I don't know too much about the Detroit's bullpen. I guess we'll find out tonight. But I can tell you about the Mariners bullpen, and I really, really am excited to see that Emerson Hancock is making the transition from starter to bullpen. I think Solak, this is probably his full-time gig going forward.
Yep.
You think so too? Okay. And then I also think that while we don't have a large quantity of great bullpen guys, Brash and oh my God, what's our closer's name? Munoz, thank you. I keep thinking Diaz, but he hasn't been on the team for like 5 years. But yeah, Munoz and Brash are up there. When you look at the analytics, they're up there as with the best of them. The problem is the bases sometimes get a little cloudy when they're pitching. So that always makes me nervous, just having flashbacks to Mike Schooler and Bobby Ayala.
Man, I could go my whole life without having to hear that guy's name again.
Nope. Nope. I'll keep reminding you.
But Detroit's got a lot of no names in their bullpen, like their starting lineup. They're just all role players. I mean, they're nobody that really stands out. That's going to be all MLB. Make this all-star. Blah blah blah. But yeah, they have done a good job with their bullpen. But we have the better bullpen on paper, and I think you already mentioned a couple names, but one name that stands out to me for the Mariners I want to see is Bizzardo out of the pen. He's come along this year. I think his ERA ended up being under 3. Down the stretch, he's been pretty effective. I can't pronounce his first name, or I don't remember his first name. Otherwise, I would say it. But I'd like to see how he's become like our 7th inning guy too, leading up to Brash and Munoz as well. So I want to see how Bizzardo does. That's one name that's my click to pick, or whatever Matt says.
So for those of us that are watching that have been a little more casual or just can't watch as much, are the Mariners running a classic, I don't know what to call it, the classic closer series of bullpen use, from the 90s, with Dennis Eckersley. So you have a designated closer and 2 designated setup men right before them. Or have they embraced the new aged, which is really the old age, more fireman approach of bringing your best reliever in the most crucial situation?
So Wilson, it's not to the extent of like Andrew Miller from the Cleveland or Yankees, but he will bring in Munoz in high leverage situations. Looks like we lost Brian here, so I'll just fill in the answer here. They'll use him in the 8th inning if it's necessary, but it's not like they'll bring him in the 5th.
Okay,
so it's kind of a.
Okay. So we might see him in the 8th, like for 2 full innings, possibly, depending on the game state.
Not for 2 full innings, but like you'll do if the big hitters from the other team are in the 8th, Wilson's not afraid to use him there.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to move on here. What about playoff experience here? Tigers went through a wild card series. They won. They're battle tested, I guess, if you want to call it that, but they also had this massive swoon at the end of the regular season. So what matters here? Playoff experience, the slide at the end of the season, or rest for the Mariners having won the division?
Okay, so let's just go playoff experience. There's only one guy whose playoff experience really matters. That's the manager for the Tigers, AJ Hinch. Granted, a lot of it's been trash can banging and spy cameras, but he's got more experience than all the players on both teams and coaches on both teams combined. It's just what did Houston go, like 8 years in a row, winning the division, that kind of thing. So I'm going to give him that. And then I'm also going to say that the Mariners probably were done a disservice by having to rest because they were on such a roll. You remember 2001, idiots do things and crashing the towers and that kind of thing. And the Mariners took 2-3 weeks off and lost all their momentum.
Right.
And they're cold, and the Yankees are feeling empowered and that kind of thing. Not as big of a cataclysm as that was this year. It's only been a week off. Boy, after winning 15 or 16 in a row and something like 19 out of 20, like you kind of just want to see them keep going.
Right, of course. So I guess that brings me kind of to the dark horse question for you. You bring up the 2001 Mariners. So let's go back 25 years. Actually, the 2000 and the 2001 Mariners, who were very different teams, but they both got to the playoffs. They both won their division series. They went to the championship series, and they both lost to the Yankees, largely because of the outstanding relief pitching of Mariano Rivera. Is my thesis, my contention. Is there a player like that in this series for either team?
I'll give you one for both, sure. Because I've been thinking about this very thing. Randy Arozarena was a monster in Tampa, during the playoffs. And while he's defensively, it can be an adventure out there sometimes. Offensively, he's been a catalyst for this team when they've gone into slumps. It seems like he's the one that gets better. That pulls the cart. His regular season numbers are not eye popping. 238 batting average, 27 home runs. That's pretty good, but it's more a matter of when he gets hot, it pulls this team out of the dumps. And playoffs, I think, are his thing. And it'd be great to see playoff Randy, as they're starting to call him. Who you want to keep an eye out for the Detroit Tigers. I would like to say Spencer Torkelson, but he's not really a dark horse. So let me think about I don't know, maybe like their right fielder Wenzel Perez. Not amazing, but I think he's a second year guy, and his improvement from his first year has been pretty solid. So I mentioned his name, but it could be any one of these young guys that they have that we mentioned earlier. It could be, that's my dark. I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to stick with him because, again, I don't really know that much about the players other than the fact that there doesn't seem to be a weak player on their team. So I could see somebody like a Wenzel Perez coming up big.
Okay. Well, we're coming close to the end of the show here. Is there anything that you think is must watch early, not early, but just for tonight's game? Any particular moment or anything that you like, oh, this is the edge of the seat, really pay attention right this second?
I know one thing that I'm going to do, by the way, is I'm going to watch some more of the Tigers Guardian series because they were on during the day every single day of the week, and I couldn't watch them. And when you get highlights on SportsCenter, it's all Red Sox, Yankees. So first thing, I'm going to try to see a little bit more about what's to these Tigers. But to your point about what do we need to see from the Mariners tonight, it's that 2-seam sinker that George Kirby throws. He's got to get it, like you mentioned, he's got to get it like millimeters up, but not so high up. For people who are not aware, sinker ball pitchers, when they get too high, it's like a giant meatball to hitters, and it goes yard. And that's where against the Dodgers he slipped up a little bit. But yeah, I would like to see him get that a couple millimeters up, but not so high up it's a home run. And then I'd like to really see more of what Dan Wilson's been doing offensively, which is, to use a term you used, unconventional, but not really, because they were doing it back in the day. Yeah. So that's talking about stealing bases. Scott Service, our previous manager, had an aversion to stealing bases. Don't know why. I don't know if it's his little spreadsheet that said don't do it ever under any circumstance. I love putting pressure on the other team. So offensively, I want to see aggressive base running. You know what? And I'll take my lumps, Rich. If you make that third out at third base, or like we did against the Dodgers, fine. At least you're trying something. At least you're being aggressive. Make the defense try to get you out. That's, you got to have guts, or else if you just play it safe like the Mariners had for the last 9 years, playing it safe with their roster, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to take a chance.
So what you're saying is the Mariners need to channel or enter Ricky Henderson.
Maybe not Ricky Henderson. That's asking for a lot. And I think I'm more that I'm saying is put down the spreadsheets, play baseball.
I mean, I would love for them to channel or enter Ricky Henderson. He's a great ball player, but you were talking about putting pressure on a defense, and no one really has ever done that any better than Ricky Henderson.
Yeah. Okay. In that respect. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the Mariners, when they're at their best, back in April, back this month in September, it's just been constant pressure on, on the defenses or pitchers too, because they've been fouling balls off and not being afraid to take pitches to get walks. When they're at their worst is when they play safe, and when they wait for their particular pitch instead of swinging on first pitches. You got to mix it up. You got to play. You got to confuse the other team, because when you get into safe, dull routines, they'll take advantage of you.
All right. Well, let's get a prediction for tonight's game as well as the overall series. Abe, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So tonight, I think it's a beatdown of Detroit. Conversely, tomorrow, I think we're going to really struggle. A little bit colder weather, heavy marine layer. Tariq Skubal back in Seattle, former Seattle U Red Hawk. So I see yin and yang these next 2 days, and then we'll have to see where we're going from there. Because if the Mariners go down 0-2, you might as well just shut the season down. So tonight's a must win.
No faith on the Mariners being able to rally back from a
Not on the road.
deficit.
Not on the road. No, because while I think Logan Gilbert could take game 1, you're going to put Bryce Miller at game 4, and he's just been shaky all season, especially on the road. And then I just don't like I do not like the chances if you go down 0-2. Definitely got to win tonight. Must win. Conversely, I said the Tigers had to punt. They're punting tonight. I think tomorrow night, if you win tonight, it's just do the best you can and hope Scooble's off his game, because that's otherwise you're not going to win that one.
Alrighty. Well, let's maybe hope for less of a marine layer tomorrow and maybe a little more lift. Maybe a couple of big dumpers balls can get up and over the fence for our team. Do you usually like to end our broadcast with shout outs? They're like,
yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Yeah.
So who do you got for your shout out tonight, Abraham?
I'm going to give my shout out to you. You and your gutter system at your house is yet another thing. A lot of people don't give parents enough credit, especially fathers who have to to bring in the money, help raise the kids, deal with gutters that don't work. And it's not Father's Day, but I'm going to give a shout out to you and all the fathers out there, because it ain't easy.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm going to give a little bit of shout out here to both of my sons, who always eagerly help me with all of those projects that Dad has to go take care of. And they're really, really good helpers, and they always want to learn new stuff. And hopefully we can teach them some of those good Boy Scout skills. We're gonna see if we can't get some whittling done this weekend. So we'll see.
Did you teach them 911 so when you fall off the ladder later today?
Yes, taught them 911, and I've taught them 911 as well, as if in case they stab or slice someone with the knife. So hopefully we're gonna make sure they get the knife skills under control and get that totem chip, as it were.
Nice.
They'll be able to create something besides stabbing tools with their whittling skills. So,
I guess we're towards the end of our show. But I want to thank you. I'll thank everybody out there. Thank Brian, the Soulman Solak, for joining. Thank you, Rich, the Ram, for hosting. And want to have everybody out there check out our website at seattlesportsunion.com. As well, check us out here on YouTube, as well as Spotify. And on social media, we're on X at Seattle Sports U. We're also on Facebook. Thank you. Go Mariners, and we'll see you guys next time.
Go Mariners.